All right, so next Friday night, the fight finally goes down. Anthony Joshua taking on Jake Paul. Jake Paul is stepping up to the plate. The man is showing huge cojones. It's going to be David and Goliath all over again.
I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass. He doesn't have a chin, and he has no skill, and he's stiff.
And it sounds crazy to say, but the fight is going ahead. And yes, everyone thought it was crazy when he fought Mike Tyson. They thought it was even crazier when he was going to take on Gervonta Davis. But I tell you what's even crazier than all of that. The world has gone crazy. It has truly lost the plot because a lot of people, a lot of respected people, combat sports champions, are saying that Jake Paul is going to knock out Anthony Joshua.
You serious?
First of all, we had Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, a tremendous world champion, one of the best boxers of his generation. Apparently, and I don't know if he's serious, but he says that he puts $1 million on Jake Paul to knock out Anthony Joshua.
Seriously? Jake Paul chins AJ, yes, they fight.
Are you serious?
100%. If they fight, I'm putting $1 million on Jake Paul.
Now, we know, first of all, that Tyson Fury doesn't really like Anthony Joshua. So maybe he's just saying that. Maybe he's talking shit. Or has he really put $1 million on? Because if he has, I want to see that betting slip. And could you imagine if it came in? I don't know what the odds on Jake Paul knocking him out are, but they're going to be pretty big. But it didn't stop there. That was not the only madness. He's not the only person making a prediction. And by the way, John Fury, no man alive, that guy.
I'm a machine!
I miss John Fury. We haven't talked about him for a while. He said that Anthony Joshua could knock him out with his dick. Right?
Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his dick. Goes any other way, you know it's fixed, don't you?
That's what he said. No man alive is knocking anyone out with a dick. Anyway, let's move on, right? Here is what Mighty Mouse had to say.
I think Jake can knock him out. Anthony Joshua has been knocked out by some weird-ass shots before. Andy Ruiz, Dubois knocked him out.
Yes, he got knocked out by Andy Ruiz, and yes, he got knocked out by Daniel Dubois, but they are two great boxing heavyweight champions, okay? Two of the big names in the heavyweight division. Daniel Dubois was Anthony Joshua's last fight, and yeah, he knocked him out. He went the distance with Alexander Usyk. The man is an incredible boxer. Jake Paul is not that level. He's not that size. He's not that experienced, and he doesn't have that kind of power. But still, let's listen to Mighty Mouse.
With a short overhand right? Yeah. Jake Paul can land one of those shots. He can. If Anthony Joshua doesn't get on his bicycle, start moving around and fight Jake Paul.
What does he mean he can land one of those shots? Listen, Jake Paul does have some power. He's got 12 professional wins, 7 losses. Hasn't really fought too many boxers. Of course, fought Mike Tyson, fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., fought Mike Perry, stopped Mike Perry, knocked out Ryan Boyland, beat Nate Diaz by decision, knocked out Tyron Woodley, who's on the undercard, by the way. Tyron Woodley will be returning after many years and taking on Anderson the Spider Silva. I've got Anderson winning that fight all day long. I just think stylistically that's a really bad matchup for Tyron Woodley. But anyway, as I was saying, he does have some knockout power, so I'm not taking that away from him. But it's not like it's scary knockout power. It's not the type of power that's going to force Anthony Joshua to have to dance around the ring, get on his bike, play cat and mouse, dancing around, pick his shots and stick and move. No way. Remember what Anthony Joshua did to Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia. He stood there, toe-to-toe, waited for the opening, threw a right hand. It was like absolute lightning, and the power was crippling. Every single right hand that Anthony Joshua threw, he dropped Francis Ngannou, who is a gigantic human being who does have truly one-punch knockout power, as we know.
I need to knock him out.
I like that.
So Mighty Mouse, love you, bro, but what on earth are you talking about? Let's carry on.
Like a pop. Oh, you missed. Pop. Like, use that range. Start hitting the body. Make Jake Paul work.
He is not going to pop, dance around.
Make him miss.
He doesn't have to make Jake Paul miss.
Can destroy Jake Paul.
Make him miss. Make him pay.
But I don't see that happen.
No. He's going to stand there and he's going to swing for the fences in a technical way and knock him out. Now, Mighty Mouse finishes by saying that he doesn't know shit about boxing, okay? And in this occasion, I agree with you, Mighty Mouse.
I don't know shit about boxing, right? But I feel that Jake Paul could potentially knock out Anthony Joshua.
I love you, brother. He had an incredible career, and the man's awesome. He's sitting there with Jake Paul, and we know Jake Paul and Sugar Sean O'Malley, they're buddies, they're friends, right? And Mighty Mouse, maybe he's doing this for clicks. I don't know what he's talking about, right? There's no way on this earth that this fight ends with Jake Paul knocking out Anthony Joshua. And it's so crazy to say, because remember, before it was Anthony Joshua, it was Gervonta Davis. So he went from someone that's 135 pounds to like 260 pounds, okay? From a man that was half his size and he had everyone talking on social media to all of a sudden Jake Paul's the small guy and Anthony Joshua's towering over him. He's got way more experience. He hits harder. He's the bigger man. He's got the longer reach. He's an Olympic champion, right? Jake Paul is not going to go out there and turn this into a real life David and Goliath. That ain't going to happen. And everybody knows that. Now, there has been a lot of accusations. There was a lot of talks about this being potentially a fixed fight or some kind of rule set or an agreement where these guys were going to take it easy on one another.
You know, for me, in my opinion, I think it's scripted a little bit because, you know, of the weight difference and, you know, Joshua is a former, you know, champion.
Well, first of all, Anthony Joshua came out and he said, that's nonsense. No way. Not at all. He said, I think Jake Paul's going to come out there and he's going to try and hurt me.
There's no stipulation in the contract where I have to take it easy on him.
And of course, that's what he would say, right? I'm not saying it's fixed, by the way, because we know Jake Paul likes to sue people that say that. I'm not saying that. Because even Piers Morgan had to backtrack on that one. He had to come out and put a little tweet out and clarify because he didn't want Jake Paul coming after him and suing him, right? But the promoter, Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's promoter, he came out and he said, listen, what are you talking about? There's no way on this earth that I'm going to be involved in a fixed fight.
Absolute bullshit. No way ever. Firstly, that's illegal. This is a real fight. There'll be no holding anyone up. There will be Anthony Joshua going out from the first bell to knock Jake Paul spark out as quickly as possible and as violently as possible.
And I'll tell you what, I will give that some credence because Eddie Hearn is one of the best boxing promoters on the planet. Of course, he promotes Anthony Joshua. He's not going to do that because, number one, he's going to lose his license. He's going to lose everything that he's worked for. So when you look at it all on paper, it kind of does lean towards the fact that this fight isn't one where there's kind of a rule set in place. Now, I know a lot of people, when they saw the Mike Tyson fight, were like, hold on, that was weird. Why wasn't Tyson unloaded? And that's kind of what I thought as well, right? And who knows? Maybe it was because Mike Tyson was 58 years old, and that is what they were tweaking. That was the advantage that they were giving themselves, right? When you look at Jake Paul, right, you got to give him his credit because he's clearly putting the work in. He showed a video on Twitter where he's hitting the bag, and he looks smooth, he looks fast, he looks powerful, he looks like he's ripping the bag. Of course, bags don't hit back, okay, we know that, but he looks good. And certainly when you compare it to the footage that he shared recently as well from back in the day, right, when he was first starting, he was hitting the bag, he doesn't look as toned, he doesn't look as ripped, and he certainly does not look as technical. However, this power that Mighty Mouse is talking about, we've seen it in fights many times. He swings big looping shots. That is why somebody by the name of Tommy Fury was able to beat him, okay? This fight has been frowned upon, not only because of these suggestions that the fight might be fixed, but also from people in the boxing world that look at this as a spectacle and look at this as a circus, a sideshow, a freak show attraction, and also something that is extremely dangerous. Because if this is a real fight, and apparently it is, so we'll go with that, there's a very good chance that somebody gets hurt. And I'm sorry to say, because I love Mighty Mouse, it ain't going to be Anthony Joshua.
I mean, we seen the Mike Tyson. That was all fun. That was cute. You know what I'm saying? It's fun and games and stuff. But now you're dealing with a real professional, you know. And so we'll see how it ends up. You know, like I said, I think it's scripted.
Joshua's been in there with the best of the best. Tyson Fury saying that. Tyson Fury should be the one fighting Anthony Joshua. They should do that for all British fans. And we know that Fury isn't the biggest fan of Joshua. So he's saying that just to have a go. I guarantee he hasn't put £1 million on. Maybe he has. The man's made a fortune, right? Maybe he's got that kind of money to waste, because it would be a waste. That'd be a very expensive way of having a dig at one of your rivals, just burning £1 million just for the sake of it, just so you can make a point. Listen, boxing, people die. Simple as that. This is not a game. You don't play at boxing. And I do give Jake Paul the respect for stepping in there and beating people like Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva came out, of course, and defended Jake Paul. He said, listen, the man's changing the game, right? And he said, all these people talking shit online, they have no idea because they haven't stepped in there, right?
I respect Jake a lot because he's changed the game.
And of course, Anderson's going to say that because he fought Jake Paul and he lost to Jake Paul. And when you lose to someone, you big them up because, hey, listen, anything's possible. He was able to beat me. He's normal, okay? In the words of Anderson Silva.
It's normal.
Listen, people die in boxing. I think the sad stat is something like 8 to 10 fighters per year pass away because of the bigger gloves. You can take more shots to the head. And this is a very, very serious situation. Anthony Joshua is one of the most successful heavyweights of this generation. He's got real knockout power. Again, look at what he did to Francis Ngannou. You don't need to look any further than that. A gigantic mountain of a man that was a UFC heavyweight champion of the world, that destroyed the heavyweight champion in the PFL. He stepped in the ring with Anthony Joshua and he got flatlined by every shot and he got knocked out in the second round. That was it. So anyway, with that all said, what do you make of all of this? Do you really think that Tyson Fury put £1 million on Jake Paul? Do you believe, as Mighty Mouse says, that Anthony Joshua's going to have to stick and move, that he's going to have to play it smart because he's been knocked out by Dubois and Jake Paul has that kind of power? Do you believe him? Does he have a point? Is he out of his mind? Is he saying if it clicks? Let me know in the comment section, please, because I'll tell you what, when I saw it, I couldn't believe what I was watching. Listen, Mighty Mouse, you're the man. Tyson Fury, he knows a thing or two about boxing, but I think he's talking out of his ass. No man alive should believe that Jake Paul is going to knock out Anthony Joshua. He's a proper fighting man. Anyway, subscribe and ring the bell. See you soon.